January 2024. I'm glad that you've chosen KT News to inform you today. It is Monday. And of course, we have a Standpoint coming your way every Monday where we take a critical analysis of the politics of the week that has been and also projecting and looking at what is ahead of us as well this week, knowing that the tiff between the executive and the judiciary continues apace. Last Friday, we saw the demonstration of the lawyers also on the street, and still we see the executive is not rowing back as far as that particular beef is concerned. We shall be looking at that, what is the way forward right now. And also, it is a relief for us, many Kenyans as well, when you go to the pump right now with the paring down of the cost of fuel and also the cost of milk. It seems that also the good rains now, we can get the exceeding benefits of the rainfall so far. A lot that we want to look at as far as the legislation is concerned. Also, capitation of funds for schools has not hit their accounts as well. And there is that tiff between governors and also the national government regarding the ECD. That is, they want to claw it back to the national government. And this is in light of the Presidential Working Party that has recommended that ECD education go back to the national government. But the government or the governors, they feel that they have not been consulted widely, and they're taking special umbrage with it as well. Let's see how the weather will be today before we buckle down. All right, we shall be buckled down to paper review much later in the course of the program, but it is a measure of relief for drivers and other consumers as for the second month running fuel prices continue on a downward trend. Petroleum prices are set to decrease by 5 shillings for petrol and 4 shillings and 82 cents for diesel in the latest review of the prices by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA. This means the price of petrol is now at 207.36, while diesel is down to 196.47 from 201.47 in the previous month. Kerosene will retail at 194.23 per litre, so this is good relief for Kenyans right now. We want to see also what is happening as far as admission is concerned, and as Form 1 admission kicks off this morning, people from Nambale Urban Primary School in Nambale, Busia County is staring at a dark academic future despite leading at her school and Nambale Sub-County in KCSE. Edna Nyarotso, who scored 407 marks and secured a slot at Kipsigis Girls High School in Kericho County, is wary as her mother claims her father is not willing to support the girl with higher education. Alan Ochanda starts off.
13-year-old Edna Nyarotso goes about with her chores at her home in Nambale, Busia County. Edna sat for her KCPE exams last year at Nambale Urban Primary School and topped not only at the school but in the whole Nambale sub-county after scoring 407 marks. The stellar performance secured her space at Kipsigis Girls High School in Kericho County. In spite of her performance, the future looks bleak as she may not be joining Form 1.
Nilipata alama 407. Nikaitwa shule ya upili ya Kipsigis. Lakini matumaini yangu yanaenda yakiisha kwa sababu mama yangu hawezi kugharamia pesa za kunipeleka shule hiyo na hakuna msaada wowote niliopata hadi wa sasa. Naomba mwalimu mkuu wa shule hiyo kwa sasa, kama unanisikiliza ama unanitazama, nafasi yangu niwekee.
All she can do now is to peruse these documents, her invitation letter to Kipsigis Girls and her KCPE result slip, and reignite her urge to pursue her education and maybe to unshackle herself from bad cultural practices and crushing poverty. Her primary school education journey, despite being almost free, was not smooth either. Her mother parted ways with her father 5 years ago, and according to her, he is adamant about educating girls.
Tangu Edna afanye mtihani sijaona babaka akiuliza mtoto amefanya aje, lakini alijua mtoto anafanya 2023. Alafu nikamwambia apeleke mtoto shule, akasema hawezi kusomesha mtoto msichana. Sasa mtoto msichana ako tu mwenye Edna anafuata mara 2.
Nilikuwa nambari ya kwanza kwa wanafunzi 225. Nilitarajia kwamba tarehe 15 ningejiunga na wenzangu katika shule ya upendo wangu, lakini sasa hivi naona nyota yangu ikididimia.
Her family's disintegration saw her uncle offer refuge to her mother, where they live to this day. Her former school's head teachers say the girl's performance has put them on the national map, but are wary she may not even leave the village.
Alibuka mshindi na alama 407. Huyu mtoto kusoma kwake kumekumbwa na changamoto nyingi sana. Hakuwa anajiweza kwa mahitaji hasa yale ambayo yanahusiana na shule, na kama shule tukishirikiana na walimu tulikuwa tunajaribu kumsaidia na kumhimiza asome ili amalize masomo yake ya msingi.
Learners joining Form 1 are expected to report to school Monday. The country may just be one unfortunate female learner short. She will most likely be still at home, shackled by both culture and poverty. Alan Ochanda, KTN News.
President William Ruto and his allies have continued with their onslaught against the judiciary, telling off lawyers who on Friday protested attacks on the courts. His allies turned their heat on the Law Society of Kenya and the Chief Justice Martha Koome for supporting what they termed as quote-unquote judicial impunity in Kenya. Elvis Koske has more.
Speaking during an interdenominational church service in Iten, in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, Ruto said the country's development will not be derailed by corruption.
We are going to deal firmly with vested interests and impunity, and we are going to deal decisively with corruption in whatever shade, in whichever institution. So nobody should threaten us. Nobody should blackmail Kenya anymore. We want to move the country forward, and we are going to ensure that Kenya moves forward.
Conversation we are having about corruption and impunity in the judiciary has nothing to do with the independence of the judiciary. In actual fact, Your Excellency, you have shown the world through your actions, not by word, but by action, that you stand for the independence of the judiciary.
Theater judges pia hao, when you want to make a decision that will affect the lives of ordinary citizens, kuja baka hapa Iten uulize wananchi wakuambie kama ni muhimu wakuwe na sheria hiyo, kama wanataka affordable housing vijana wapate kazi ama hawataki.
Who have no shelter can have shelter. That is basically what the president is saying. So Your Excellency, don't run away. You're saying let us root out the few who are corrupt in the judiciary.
The head of state said the country's development has been delayed by vested interests impunity and corruption.
We are going to be clear, we are going to be decisive, because for far too long, Kenya has been held hostage by incompetence, vested interest, and corruption. And I want to be very clear that going forward, it doesn't matter. We cannot keep complaining about countries that were with us, but today they are way ahead of us.
Kerio River. Kwa hivyo ukipeleka hiyo askari waende Kerio River, watu wangu wanasonga waende huko wakilima shamba. Your Excellency, ukisema neno moja tu ama signal leo, wakae kwa Kerio River. Sio katikati, wakae kwa maji yenyewe, Your Excellency, na wakupigie picha maji ya Kerio. Tutaishi huko tukiwa sawa.
The judiciary has no monopoly to superimpose their independence on other arms of government. Parliament is independent, the executive is independent, and therefore they must respect the independence of Parliament and of the executive.
His deputy Rigathi Gachagua responded to CJ Koome after the head of judiciary challenged the president to table evidence of corruption in the judiciary.
I'll personally present a petition before Lady Chief Justice Martha Koome against Justice Esther Maina for her removal from the judiciary for misconduct and corruption. Mimi mwenyewe ndio nitaongoza, because sasa unajua, sasa si ametuuliza, sasa tuko tayari, mimi ndio nitaongoza kwa executive.
Tumewafundisha jinsi ya kuown nyumba, tayari hiyo nyumba ishaenda kabla haijajengwa. So nani huyu atasimama mbele ya kasi na plan ya president? Mambo ya afya, mtu akufe kwa sababu ya saratani, ati kwa sababu wewe ni judiciary. Tumesema jinsi mwingine alisema juzi, tutapita na hawa.
Wanataka kwenda kupinga kila kitu ili after 5 years waseme ulisema utafanya affordable housing, ulisema universal cover na hujafanya. We are saying, as your foot soldiers, Your Excellency, we are behind you. We are going to deal with them from today going forward.
Elvis Kosgei, KT News, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Now, many people will remember that President William Ruto recently paid a visit to his former primary school. When the president arrived in Kamagut Primary School in Uasin Gishu County, where his basic education started, he quickly spotted his former head teacher, Mr. Joseph Ndirangu. The two, who could be confused for bosom buddies, laughed heartily as they hugged and exchanged pleasantries. So who is this Mr. Ndirangu, who has left many tangs working in the social media circles? Elvis Kosgei also continues with that story.
This is the video of President William Ruto and his former teacher Joseph Ndirangu interacting, which has made rounds on social media.
Asante sana. Mungu ni mkubwa. Ndirangu was our head teacher. Tutaishi milele.
The 83-year-old is now a retired teacher, has since Monday, January 8th, been basking in the glory of reconnecting with one of the most achieved students, the holder of the highest office on land.
Niwashukuru walimu wetu ambao walitufundisha hapa. Nimekutana na wengi. Nimekutana na mwalimu wetu mkubwa na Ndirangu, mimi nataka niseme asante sana. Nimekutana na walimu wale wengine wote, mwalimu Seurei, mwalimu Biwot, mwalimu Ouma. Kwanza wewe Ouma ulituumiza sana.
Seated at his humble homestead in Songoliet, off the Eldoret-Nakuru highway in the county of Uasin Gishu, Ndirangu's joy is still palpable.
Sikufikiria atanikumbuka, maana ni baada ya miaka mingi. Tangu nitoke Kamaguti 1980, nikihesabu vizuri kwa hesabu ni kama miaka 43. Na muda wa miaka 43 is a great span of time. Kwa hivyo aliponitaja jina langu ambalo sikufikiria atanitaja, na kabla hajasema hata neno lingine nilisikia damu inachamuka kwa mwili wangu.
Ndirangu says he had not met his former pupil 43 years later, since Ruto completed his primary school education and proceeded to Wareng Secondary School in the then Uasin Gishu district.
Sikuota hata ndoto. Lakini nilikuwa nikitamani sana. Nilikuwa nikitamani vitu vizuri katika dunia hii. Kwenda na ndege na kusalimia mkubwa wa nchi. Lakini sasa yote mbili nimetimiza. Hiyo usiku huo nililala alama ya kushangaa. Maana nilijisikia vizuri sana. Nilishukuru Mungu sana. Hata watoto wangu walikuwa thrilled. Kusema kweli walifurahi sana na wakajivuna sana. Eti kumbe baba yao alifundisha rais. Sikujua ninafundisha rais. Nilishtukia wakati nimetoka huko baada ya miaka mingi. Mwanafunzi wangu amekuwa rais. Yeye alikuwa anapenda debate sana wakati tulikuwa naye kwa darasa langu nilipokuwa class master yake. Na alikuwa mchangamfu.
According to Ndirangu recollections, the president strictly followed school rules and rarely found himself in the wrong.
You cannot know who will be what. What I would tell them is to be teachers. Na wasibague. Watufundishe watoto wote kwa umoja na wawapende wote.
At Annex area on the outskirts of Eldoret, Walter Kalando, who was Ruto's deputy principal at Wareng High School, describes the president as a student who carefully chose his friends.
One of his closest friends I could remember who was very close to him was Silas Simotwo. And the two were unique. They seem to have come from a background where they shared everything. They would work together. Simotwo had a very unique behavior. They had a small drum. I don't know where they got that drum from. Simotwo would play it and then they would sing and bring people closer to him. So one thing, he was a crowd puller.
Mr. Kalando was Ruto's teacher of English and literature as well as history, says the president's language skills were shaped in Wareng.
That group coming to Wareng, most of them are from the countryside, from the rural countryside. So we had to start training them and give them the basics. Of course, if you have to look at English as a language, as a second language you are learning, there are certain challenges which are unique to specific communities. As a Luo, we always had problem with SH and S, and single O and double O. So these were some of the challenges.
So by that time, 1982, ilikuwa time ya Wildlife Club, na Ruto was actually the patron of the club. Na hiyo canteen yeye mwenyewe aliendesha mpaka hata akahusia walimu vitu. Alistock hiyo canteen mpaka I think that is the only mwaka hiyo canteen ya shule ilikuwa na stock ya kila kitu. Mpaka walimu hawakuwa wakienda town. So he was really an entrepreneur. Alionyesha hiyo skills mapema.
As the head of state laid the foundation stone for the construction of modern school in Kamagut in the county of Uasin Gishu, Joseph Ndirangu here is basking in the glow of glory after meeting President William Samoei Ruto 43 years later. Elvis Kosgei, KT News, Megun area, Uasin Gishu County.
Now, a section of Mount Kenya leaders has now urged President William Ruto to drop Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in the 2027 general polls and instead pick Kiharu, Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro, as his running mate. The MPs who have also thrown their weight behind Nyoro for the presidency in 2032 say it is only by edging out Gachagua in 2027 that the Kenya Kwanza administration stands a chance to be re-elected for a second and final term. As KTN's political affairs reporter Emmanuel Tona reports, the pronouncements come barely 2 days after 15 members endorsed Nyoro's State House bid for the year 2032.
I, Rigathi Gachagua,
do swear.
Do swear.
Barely a year and a half since he took over the mantle as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and by extension the de facto spokesperson of the Mount Kenya region, it seems Rigathi Gachagua's honeymoon is over as a simmering revolt among a section of the Mount Kenya leaders took another twist. A section of MPs, majority drawn from the Murang'a County, now want President William Ruto to drop Gachagua in favor of youthful Nyoro for the number 2 position in the next general polls.
Rigathi Gachagua get an opportunity to serve 1 term as the deputy president. Dede Nyoro get an opportunity to serve 1 term from 2027 as the deputy president. 2032. They will decide what they want to do.
We do not want somebody who has been talking about the disrespect that the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta had. Well, he is actually worse. He thinks that some of us are trash. So we are saying this is not the type of person that you can entrust to lead the nation.
The Crusaders, who have gradually gained momentum in Mount Kenya region, say the move is the only safeguard for President William Ruto's 2nd term.
If he comes with the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua in 2027, things might be a little bit difficult for him. But if he comes with Dede Nyoro as a running mate, then I think things are going to be much easier for him because people identify with Dede Nyoro.
And their push is not only for 2027, as another team of at least 15 MPs drawn from other parts of the country endorsed Nyoro for the country's top job in 2032.
Kwa sababu hapa Mount Kenya region hatuna kiongozi ambaye anaweza tuongoza vizuri. Na sasa ule yako sahihi ni Dede. We as many as of the similar opinion say aye.
The fact that the young generations have ambitions, we should not be restricted from pronouncing because we'll be choking their dreams at the expense of preserving the feelings of others.
The situation has now widened the fissures in the Mount Kenya region as some MPs came out to defend Gachagua.
Generational change, youth versus wazee, kwanza tuache. Uchaguzi iko 2027, tufanyie wananchi kazi, turudishe William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua.
Iko kwa sahihi mpaka 2028. Please, maneno ya siasa, maneno ya generation change, sana sana kwa hawa watu wenye wako Kenya kwanza. We have our president, hatupagi kumbadilisha. We have a deputy, hatupagi kubadilisha.
Gachagua had warned and named individuals in the region against engaging in early campaigns and splitting the region.
We don't want to go to any other election divided the way we were in 2022. Na wameniambia nitafute 13% ambayo ilikuwa imeenda pale nilete yote to 100%.
Gachagua's first rise to becoming Kenya's deputy president came after serving 1 term as the MP for Madera in Nyeri. Emmanuel To, KTN News, Nairobi.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has condemned churches in the country for what he termed as remaining silent as the Kenya Kwanza government continued to oppress Kenyans with punitive taxes that have increased the cost of living. Speaking in Kisumu during a church service at St. Stephen's Church, the opposition chief has called on church leaders to lead the way in defending the interests of the people. The ODM leader is expected to kick off a busy week today as he moves to galvanize his support base and popularize the Orange Party in Nyanza and Western regions.
People who are masquerading as true Christians, people who are talking about liberating the people from poverty, from ignorance, and so on, have turned to be the oppressors of the people. And the church needs to speak. The late Archbishop Okulu, remember Bishop Muge, remember Bishop Gitari. These are the clergy that were prepared to stand up and speak the truth at the time when to speak the truth was actually seen as treason. But they spoke the truth to power.
The situation in this country is so bad because the leadership of this country has decided to dip themselves in corruption, and therefore whatever they do, even if they raise taxes, to whatever level, they will never be able to collect revenue to offer services to this country.
Stop this expensive kalongolongo taxation, where even a young man who gets married pays a tax to the government. People will not get married. They will just come and stay together. Very soon they will come. If you have a child, we tax that one.
Now, Afro-Asia Think Tank, an organization that focuses on regional and global developments, has been launched in Nairobi. It aims to champion the needs of the Horn of Africa region that has been experiencing instability. The founder, Professor Abdi Wahab Abdi, called on the African scholars to join forces to address the issues bedeviling the region, such as drought and insecurity.
We have to have what they call researchers from the African continent. Then we are going to show the world the African perspective, how the thinking of African society. And in fact, we are going to also, advocate for the, coexistence of African society. We are going to have what they call, among the African society, they must have what they call, such kind of the beast among the African societies. The geopolitics of the world is drastically changing. So we must bring together African researchers, African scholars, African academia, journalists. We bring on board all of them so that we like to picture. We are going to remove the gloomy picture of Africa so that this African society they can produce their own research. We have to have what they call an African perspective, an African thinking, an African forward thinking, so that at least we are going to advise the policymakers accordingly.
All right, we want to, of course, continue pace with the conversation with our panelists this morning. I'm holding court with Dr. Makale Mulu, who is the Member of Parliament of Kitui Central. Also, we have with us Senator Wahome Omatinga, who is a senator of Nyeri. Also, Farah Malim is joining us this morning, who is a member of parliament for Dadaab. We'll be joined later by Damson Mungatana, who has not shown up yet. And a raft of issues that we want to look forward. We begin further with the good news about the fuel prices now having gone down by 5 shillings. So if you're going to the pump right now, at least there is some measure of relief as well. And also the judiciary and also the executive, the TIF that I have mentioned, continues apace. We are yet to see what will be happening this week. And looking at the headlines, we have also Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua saying that he will actually, of course, name, well, he wants some of the judges who were involved, especially in his case where there was the freezing of the monies or his account, and that was also determined by the court be facing the music. So let me just hear from our guests this morning. We'll begin, of course, with Senator Omatinga from Nyeri. Good morning and thank you for joining us here on Morning Prime.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's indeed a happy new year to everyone, to all our viewers. It is indeed a good time to start discussion on the way we would want to move this country forward.
Yes.
It is important we know that the responsibility of developing this country does not lie on the hands of the executive alone. Kenyans at large have a responsibility. Each one of us must take part in the development of the country, and therefore it is important that we start this discussion by seeing what is it that we've missed for the last 60 years and moving forward, what is it that we can do right.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, we shall be, depending on you to tell us what is happening on the Mount Kenya region, just looking at that particular bridge that is widening in the Mount Kenya and the factions there. We've had the Deputy President also saying, of course, they want to come to 2027 as a one unit, not as disjointed as they were in 2022. So what sentiments are we hearing? Who is fooling whom as far as Gachagua and Ndindi Nyoro is concerned? Thank you for joining us and welcome to Morning Prime.
Thank you.
Right, so we are glad that you've joined us this morning. Farah Malim,
Yep.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good to see you.
Good. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy. Good to see you. And I saw your face there with the launch of Afro-Asia.
Yes.
Yes. Would you care to tell us what is Afro-Asia all about?
Well, it's a think tank, a very powerful think tank that basically is a paradigm shift. You know, for a very long time, our research, our scholarly, exploits, the manner in which we're trying to
seek the best solutions to the problems we had in the continent was Western-centric. We were literally going to what you call the collective unipolar, the West. And I think there's a very powerful paradigm shift. Now we are looking inward, and we're looking at the Middle East, West Asia. The Middle East is basically called the West Asia, where the markets are. I mean, this is the Gulf states, for example, and all those countries. So we're looking at a way to see if we can create that synergy in which we will use our scholars to give us the best models, because those are now the examples of countries that essentially had not had any colonial history of colonizing us or enslaving us, and you see that paternalism that was there. And then the idea is to see that we can, on equal basis, see how we can cooperate, how we can share our own ideas, and how we can develop using some of those models, but purely as part of the wide array of areas that our scholars are going to study, whether it's Singapore, Hong Kong, or China, or Malaysia, or Saudi Arabia, and those other Middle Eastern countries, which is all of them are in Asia for information. So we're looking at that. We're shifting more to the east because we have had all this 600 years or 500 years of west field, where we're talking in English right now. We come from Kenya, all of us. You know what I mean? We have, and that's not given us any solutions. It's basically deepened our dependence on them, deepened our powerful underdevelopment. And if you remember very well, such radical thinkers, black thinkers like Walter Rodney, who says how Europe underdeveloped Africa. I mean, this is we're beginning to see that indeed, yes, we were looking for solutions in the areas where the problems came from, and the areas, and this is is a zero-sum game. The West will want to exploit your human resources, exploit your natural resources, exploit your markets to their own benefits, and it's time that we look at these things in a much more wider array, without necessarily breaking totally the links with the West. We also look at all other models, and in Africa, I think it's a very powerful institution that's come together now. I mean, this research institute, and let's see how far it goes. This is just the inaugural first session, and then we have all these myriads of problems in the region also.
But why do you think it's very providential to have it right now? What do you think?
Because we have problems in Africa. We're seriously, I mean, the continent is suffering like hell. We are. That's why you see thousands upon thousands of our people, the only people in this world right now who are running away from their own homes and their continents and dying in the seas and are Africans, are black people. And the only, the destructions, the underdevelopment, the conflicts, the environmental degradation, the exploitation, wanton exploitation of natural resources without any proper serious legal regimes to protect that for the future, for posterity, is only in Africa. Africa is literally the dark continent as it was described one time. But whether that was because of our inability to rise up, or is because of external forces that essentially wanted to keep it at that, let's see how this, what do you call, think tank is going to be. And let me tell you, Dibal, we depend on a lot of the thoughts that are generated and developed in other parts of the world. They're not for you. They are against you. But the prescription is going to be given to you. And if you trust the prescriptions of competition, then of course, there's always an inverse proportionality. We lose, and we've lost. So let's see if this paradigm shift in our thinking, our scholarly, attributes and exploits is going to make a difference in our development models for the future and our own, peace and security and all those things.
Right.
Yeah, the continent is at war with itself. Look at now. We have a big problem in the Congo. We have a problem in Sudan.
Rwanda and Burundi, they've closed borders right now.
Yeah, Rwanda and Burundi are on
Ethiopia and Somalia.
on the verge of a conflict. Somalia has been like this for the last 31 years. Ethiopia is collapsing literally because all those regions, they created what they call the ethnocentric federalism. And that's not helping them very well. And the Amharas have taken the bulk of their land. The Oromos are fighting the center. And everywhere there's a conflict in Ethiopia. And right now, Abiy has made a mistake of trying to say, I'm going to take by force, if need be, some seaport, and I think he settled on Somalia. And that has created, again, a new Somali nationalism, which is very dangerous, by the way, let me tell you. Because you never know how far it will go. Not only will it fight the Ethiopians from setting a foot on their own territory, but then there can be also a rollback, because Ethiopia is seen as having participated in the Berlin conference for the scramble for Africa, and there's a region that's inhabited by Somalis. But you never know. I mean, the things are bad in the continent.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Egypt has, Palestine is going what it's going through. Gaza is literally being bombed into scorched earth policy, and there might be coups and counter coups in all those Arab countries, because they seem to have more or less become complicit in the destruction of Palestinians and Palestine, and the dispossession of the population there, because Israel wants to move them all out.
Right.
Take what was previously Palestine, and nobody is lifting a finger except Yemenis, nobody else. So basically, you never know what's going to be the overall result of that. There is massive murmurs and outrage in all the Arab world. So then you might find another Arab Spring, but trying to get rid of the kind of a leadership they have right now and reevaluate again their relationship with the West, because West now is being seen as Israel.
Thank you.
So there are a lot of problems in the world, in the globe now.
Right.
Within our proximity. I'm talking about within the African continent itself.
Indeed. Thank you. Of course, we will see, but I will also come to you and ask you much later, maybe in the course of a program, why Asia? Why Afro-Asia? Why the choice of that particular name, Afro-Asia? Are you solely centering on Asia? But let's just hear from Makale Mulo this morning as well. Dr. Good morning.
Hi, morning, Deba.
Yes, you can tell us how the people of Kitui Central are doing.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
We were here last Monday. And also good to see my colleagues, Honorable Far and Honorable Matangi. Dibao is a good morning.
This is Wamatinga.
Wamatinga.
I know you can confuse.
Wamatinga.
There's a tank and a caterpillar.
There's a tank and a caterpillar. This is Wamatinga.
It's a caterpillar.
It's a good friend of mine, by the way.
Oh, the bulldozer.
So Dibao is really a good morning, and it can be better when we see the price of fuel and the petroleum and diesel is coming down. I'm sure it's a big relief to Kenyans. But at the same time, also a week where parents are really worried about the issues of fees. Schools opened last week, and from ones are joining secondary schools also today. So a lot of calls from down to Central and everywhere. Parents seeing whether they can get some support. And now that you can see in the papers that even the government capitation, which is going to the schools, is an issue, which is being debated. At the same time, the bar got very concerned when I saw the way Kenyans are killing each other. Just quickly, you saw this week actually, two people were murdered by
their lovers.
Their lovers. This is a Kenyan killing another Kenyan.
But we're not sure if they are lovers, actually.
That's the thing. Actually, to me,
or is it a killer who is in town?
These lovers, or is it a way of people expressing their frustration of life? Because human life is sacred, and when you see people just killing each other like you're slaughtering a goat or a chicken, it's an issue of concern, and I think really this is a matter which as a country we need to discuss, get to a national conversation about it. But also then the week was good. Kitui Central, I was able to enjoy some green maize coming from Kitui Central, so you can see things are not bad. People are getting food into the table. So for me, basically, it was a good week, and we see it starting well now that the prices are likely to come down. This price of fuel will also trigger a process where we hope that at the end of the day,